Communication is about so much more than words and texts and the ways that we actually talk to each other. It's about like what we're capable of talking about. My son and I were having this conversation about his a friend of his, and this friend can speak like maybe a ninth grade level of his father's language. And the father can speak maybe about a ninth grade level of English. So they are limited by this communication barrier. It was making us really sad thinking about how like advanced ideas and complex thoughts, they can't communicate them with each other. And so how can they really get to know each other if you can't share those things in your intimate, close relationships? But actually, it's not that different when it comes to our emotions, is it? So let's dive into that a little bit today. I'm Stacy Rocklein, and I help people communicate more clearly for understanding, for support, and for connection. So if you think about like our ability to communicate emotions, like this is not taught to us. I mean, I certainly wasn't taught as a kid. It was like very basic emotions. And it wasn't like my family was weird or didn't give me skills other families were getting. Nobody was talking to their kids about the different emotions that we're feeling beyond like you're mad, you're sad, you're happy, whatever, the little handful that we all commonly know. And then we go into school, and are we taught in school? No, we're not taught about how to talk about our emotions. You know, I went to Catholic school. They'll teach me how to talk about like spirituality. We talk about how to connect on a physical level, like other parts of our relationships, you know, we get the verbiage for, but not emotions. And so we don't have the skills and we don't talk about it. And then there's this whole layer of a relationship that we don't get to, just in the exact same way that my son's friend is limited with the actual language they speak. Like they'll never get to a level of intimacy of thought because of that limitation. And we won't get to an intimacy of emotional intimacy if we don't have the language. But imagine if we did. Imagine if we not only could figure out what we were feeling, but we were able to articulate that to the people that we're super close to. We're able to say all the little subtle things that we feel. You know, I'm grieving, right? I feel humiliated. All of the things that are beyond and sometimes underneath, like anger and sadness. Like sadness and grief, those are very different, but we don't always use the word grief when sometimes it's very accurate and it tells the person a lot more about where we are and what we're experiencing. When you can do that in a relationship, when the two people can start to share their emotional world with each other, this is what creates emotional intimacy. And it is how you really feel connected to somebody and you really feel like, oh, they get me, they know me, and I know them. So what do? You know, if we want to get that, like if we're invested in that level of intimacy with the people that we care about, what are the steps that we take? The first one is figuring out what we're feeling. And if you aren't able to articulate that, I want you to know that that's perfectly normal. And that's something that we all, those of us who make an investment in our relationships and growing our relationships, a lot of us are starting back at just the simple ones. Like here's a feel wheel. In the middle are like just the very simple ones that we're used to, right? Happy, sad, angry, uneasy, fearful, surprised, disgusted, powerful, right? Those are simple ways to talk about our emotions. But look at all this other stuff that talks about the depth of what we're feeling. When we can do that, we show somebody a side of ourselves that's so much more intimate. But we have to have the words, right? So we first have to figure out what it is we're feeling. After we figure out that, next up, kind of scary, is talking about it, saying the words, articulating it to someone else. And it's just like anything you've never done before. It's awkward. right? It's gonna feel awkward at first to be like, I want to share my feelings with you. But after you do it for a while, it becomes more comfortable. After you start to figure out what you're feeling, it becomes more automatic. This is just something that takes practice. And here's the thing, I say this over and over and over. Someone has to go first. Somebody in our relationships has to be the first one to take the step to emotional intimacy. Somebody has to go first, and that can be you. If you're watching this, then you probably care about this. And you can be the one who goes first, and you just start with yourself, asking yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? Like as soon as you kind of like feel a bad feeling, don't shrug it off, like dig in there. Ask yourself, like, what is this about? What am I feeling here? And then can you share that with somebody that you care about? It could be a best friend. Even best friendships don't always have this level of emotional intimacy because we don't have the language and we don't have the practice. But you can change that, right? What are you feeling? And then share it with somebody else. Like you can be the person that goes first, and you can be the person who kicks off this whole new level of your relationship. So I encourage you to do that today. 2 steps, very simple. What are you feeling? If you struggle with this, and listen, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. The reason I have this and the reason I've made this version is because I couldn't articulate my feelings and I needed a tool to help me. And I was constantly looking up like feel or emotional wheel on Google to figure out what I was feeling until I just decided we all need this. My clients need this. The people I work with need this. Everybody needs one of these. So in the link in the description of this video, you can download this. If you're not really sure what you're feeling, this will help you. And the second thing is to tell somebody. Tell someone how you're feeling. You are a role model. You show them how to do it. You give them permission to do it and take your relationship to the next level of emotional intimacy. You can be the lead here.